Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an aspect of the race we might look back on later as having been a path to finding the winner. Well, Queen Mother Memorial Cup Day on Sunday, a little bit more of that later. First of all, we're going to the first race we're going to look at, that's race 6, and our winning factor here, the map. Now there's a bit of depth to this class 4 over 1400 metres, and I'd say that the main prospects look to be Alan Aitken stepping up in distance, Super Red Dragon, who's racing particularly well, Vucan, who comes back in distance this time, Gracie Love for Zach Purton, and also Sunny Baby, an improver from the informed David Haysyard, who wears blinkers for the first time. And since the map is what we're putting forward as the winning factor here, let's take a look at that first and see what secrets it can unveil. Well, the keen-going horse Garlic Hero, he's drawn out wide again, so he looks to provide the speed in the race. And if for some reason he doesn't press forward, there may not be a lot of speed in the race. But judging on how he went last time, I think he's going to make this an evenly run race. And right away we see that the draw is going to present some issues for the riders of Green Envy, Master Hero, Gracie Love and Super Red Dragon, all horses with some claims in the race. But it looks much kinder for Vucan, who can stalk the leader, Alan Aitken, who should be well positioned as he steps up in distance, although he hasn't raced for a while, and the draw not unkind also to Sunny Baby. And as luck would have it, a couple of the key events looking towards this race were run basically side by side on April the 5th. First we're going to look at is race 560, and this is the race over 1400 metres, won by Super Winner. We've got Sunny Baby in orange with blue sleeves towards the inside, and he settles just past midfield. Just ahead of him, the grey Super Red Dragon, and up tracking the leaders in purple colours is Gracie Love. And on the heat map here, you see a strong mid-race pace. So I think all three of these, during that mid-race pressure, were far enough off the speed to be able to conserve some energy and finish their race. And ultimately, you'll see they finish in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th placings behind what was clearly a superior performance from the leader, Super Winner, to keep going and win. Now in that race, Gracie Love drew barrier 6 and now goes out to 11. Super Red Dragon drew barrier 3 and now goes out to 12. And Sunny Baby also out a couple of gates from that race. Now 30 minutes later, in the very next event, we saw Vucan go around, and this was over 1600 metres. And when we take a look at this replay, the thing you'll notice is it's run pretty much the same way as the previous event, a very strong section through the middle of the race. Now Vucan, he's quickly into a forward position here in red, yellow and white colours, but this time he would prefer to be where we saw those other horses in the earlier race, maybe 3 or 4 lengths further back, because the speed is good here early and then only increases as Rundes Run goes around wide and attacks the leading pair during the middle of the race, and Vucan gets drawn into that contest for the front. Now at his first attempt at 1600 metres, this proves way too much for Vucan, although he did kick momentarily at the 300 metres, and he's soon spent and the race is fought out by the horses who were back and finishing on. So the tip in race 6 is Vucan, his winning factor, the map. Well, his last start was a classic case of a race that really did not map out well for him. But I think we saw when we took a look at this Sunday's race that this race might map a little awkwardly for some of his main rivals, while Vucan should get the run of the race. Now our second race on Sunday is race 7. This is the feature, the Queen Mother Memorial Cup, and our winning factor here, the quick backup. And the Queen Mother Cup, well, this is only one of 3 2400 metres on the entire Hong Kong calendar, the other 2 being the Group 1 Hong Kong Vase and the Group 1 Champions and Chater Cup, which is later in the month. So this Group 3 handicap is a little bit of an unusual assignment for many of the horses trained in Hong Kong. We see a number of runners coming out of the Derby into this, including the place getters, Panfield and Russian Emperor. And they look suited going up to 2,400 metres, while two 4-year-olds who missed a start in the Derby are at the bottom of the weights, Charity Fun and Savaquin. Now, 4-year-olds have a pretty good record in this race, and we do often get horses coming out of the Derby into the Queen Mother Memorial Cup, but they're not often the same 4-year-olds who do well, because obviously the horses that have run well in the Derby, they've had to peak for that race, and now they're being asked to peak again 6 weeks later. So there have been some notable defeats over the years of horses who've run well in the Derby and not run well here. So I'm going to focus mostly on the two 4-year-olds down in the weights here who did not make the Derby field. And in race 593, we're going to catch both of them in an 1,800 metre race where Charity Fun in the purple colours gets a perfect ride from Zach Purton to beat Savaquin, who's in the red and yellow back in the field, over 1,800 metres at Happy Valley. Now the pace here, really quite moderate for most of the event until after the 800 metres, where a number of riders take off. The speed picks up sharply on the front end. But you'll see Purton here, he only really creeps forward. He doesn't make a full-blown run with those other runners. And where he is, about 3 or 4 lengths off the leaders coming around the home turn, is really where you want to be. Now, meanwhile, Savaquin, he's back in the field, has horses around him and isn't able to improve into the race at the same stage. So he's a further 3 lengths back. But just as Charity Fun closes in on the leaders and takes the race, Savaquin gets ever closer to Charity Fun, although he has to settle for second placing. A nice win, in fact, 2 excellent performances there at the 1,800 metres, and Charity Fun will actually meet Savaquin on better weight terms here at the handicaps, because Savaquin has since been out and won a race, and that was last weekend. Not an ideal setup, 1,800 metres back to 1,600 metres, but when we look at this race, he wasn't helped by the pace layout either, and Savaquin, once again in those yellow and red colours, manages to finish off very strongly from the second half of the field to run down Tourbillon Diamond, a horse who has been competitive in the 4-year-old classics this season over the final stages. But what I want to highlight here is Savaquin coming back to the races after 7 days, because that makes him the most race-fit horse in a race where a lot of these are going to 2,400 metres for the first time. And when we take a look at horses on a 7-day turnaround, size is right up there with the best performers. This is statistics for the last 5 or 6 years in Hong Kong. But I've got another graphic that I want to show you, and this is last start winners backing up. When we tighten the parameters like this, size takes last start winners back to the races quickly and has an even better strike rate, with 3 of 6 in that time frame. And this was something he was quite famous for in Sydney when he trained in Australia. He hasn't done it quite so often in Hong Kong, but as you can see, he's pretty deadly with it when he does. So backing up a winner 7 days later, not something John Size does all the time, but certainly worth taking note. And the tip in race 7 is Savaquin, his winning factor, the quick backup. Now on sheer on-paper form, certainly there's a great argument for Charity Fun to beat him again, but I'm just conscious of the fact that this horse is coming back to the races so quickly, and Size is so good at doing that. I think we'll get better odds too. Well, that's it from the winning factor for this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.